with a wish for all beings to be free, particularly in the human realm, free from the constriction and contraction caused by held belief systems and thought patterns, free from the automatic reactions caused by learned and held emotional patterns, and free from the isolation and suffering caused by distorted perception. I will always rest in refuge as alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the presence of all awakened ones, of any lineage or none, and or any time or beyond time, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. Just a quick note on that. Oops, sorry, Georgie. Just checking, because you're, as always, free to say whatever you would like to. What was that quick note? Well, it was there and now it's gone. Easy come, easy go. All right, for this, I'd like us to use our most creative imagination. And how I envisioned this happening was to have each of us born in various different, I have no idea how many, but this is something you can carry on your own if it is something that connects with you. But I'll give a few examples and we'll spend a little bit of time quietly allowing that. So I'm going to start with an imagining of being a very young child born into certain circumstances. And let your imagination take you there. When we try to imagine, or, part of Tonglen can be this way, we often project how we feel, how we would feel if we were in a certain circumstance. The difference with this is I'd like you to the best of your ability, become a young child in these circumstances. Therefore, there would be no projection because you would have no established bunch of belief systems and thought patterns. You would just have your experiences before we put all that together. Anyway, some of these may arise and have different emotional responses in you. That's fine. one that came to mind this morning was and I'll give the seeds back, the crumbs back to where I think things arise from. I've been reading slowly because it doesn't matter why. Book called Learning Cherokee Ways. Happens to be written by the Wahoo Path. Happens to be written by a woman from Cherokee tradition, raised in Cherokee tradition, and who is also recognized as a Tibetan teacher. So here we go. Imagine waking up in the morning and getting up to your normal life, which is a community of your family living all around in different kinds of structures, mostly simple structures. And your grandparents are there, and their brothers and sisters are there. And your parents are there, and their brothers and sisters are there. And you're there, and goes without saying. This is where you live, how you live, with lots of people around you. And you're living out in an area of forest. It's forest. And you greet the day with your family in traditional ways. Usually in some sort of ritual or ceremony that you also take for granted. That reminds everyone that you're part of something bigger. You're part of the earth. You're part of all the beings who live on the earth, whether they're plants, people, animals, insects. You find later that all the ceremony is to remind your group, your community, of being a part of a much bigger community. And you have something simple to eat, and then you and your sister take off to play in the woods. And you naturally, because it's how it's always been, connect with the trees and the plants. You see a variety of different beings running around in the forest, flying around in the forest. You don't even know, not aware of any limitation on what you might see. But in your community, in your tribe, in your people, many things are seen. Perhaps they have names, perhaps they don't. And you are completely free to explore all of the forest and play with all the beings. And you have adventures with your sister. This is your normal life. You don't know any different kind of a life. And you come back for some lunch, perhaps with another ceremony. a reminder that recognizes, not in a way that you see particularly or make a story about, that the food has been grown that you're about to eat. And that perhaps if you're having some form of meat, that an animal has given their life so that you could eat that particular meal. Not in guilt or shame, simply in gratitude and realization. In your life, there are so many family members, particularly the elder members, who have great wisdom. And they also have great love. And you are bathed in that. No recognition in any way of how special that is. It's where you live in that embrace of wisdom and love throughout your family. This is a community where respect for each other and all life is as natural as breathing. And as you get older, you have many more experiences. And perhaps at some point, you make a decision to step away from the community for a while and follow your own adventures somewhere else. But what I want us all to experience as best we can, that very essence of the community that we were raised in, a part of, an important part. Each being was an important part of the whole. That is seated deep in your being. Probably it's a bit of a shock when you realize that's not seated deep in every being. That everyone you meet does not experience life that way. It is a foundation that will always stay with you, as part of you. What are you? Who are you? I'd like everybody to enjoy that more on your own time if you choose to. Knowing that cultures being what they are, when you leave this pretty idyllic in many of our minds, in looking at it from the outside, a very idyllic, loving, connected with everything community. As you leave that, you will find hatred directed at you. You'll be called names. You'll struggle to find a place in this strange, bigger community. With all that, there is not an anchor. There is a knowing inside you. Even then, any radical change in our community can take away the deepest of knowings in our day-to-day life. Who are you? Now, as we leave that, kind of in the middle of transition, like everybody to take a minute and stretch. Use the Lama Lena stretch that she teaches if you've had it. And let all the saw patterns, filaments, all the parts that make up the you of this moment, or the you that was raised in that rather idyllic setting, whatever shape your filaments have taken on, I'd like you to let them stretch and extend as far as your imagination can reach. We do this on an in-breath, stretching our feet out, letting all the filaments come out the soles of our feet, the palms of our hands, to the edges of the universe, beyond the universe. As we breathe out, we simply relax. Want to do it one more time? On the in-breath, not closing our glottis, not holding our breath. In, out. We rest here just for a moment. Now I'd like you to imagine waking up as a very young child. Wake up to a lot of noise, a lot of screaming, arguing. And this is normal. This often is what wakes you up. You try to stay in your dream. The noise is too loud. And then someone's shaking you, saying, get up, you need to get out. And you forget where you are for a moment. And then you see an angry face. You know it's your mother. She said, you need to get out and get back on the street and find us some money. And you're snatched from your bed. And you say, is there some food? Your mother says, no, there's no food. Get out there. Find us food, find us some money. And you get yourself ready as fast as you can. There's no toothbrushing or washing. And you get out on the street. As is normal. This is what your life is. And you know who to avoid. You know who will grab you and try to see if you have any money, any food. You know who will just trip you or give you a punch just 'cause. And you run in and out of those dangers. And you keep your eye out for everything. What's safe? You don't think of things in those terms, of course not. You're quite young. You just know. You know to avoid the bully on the corner. You know to avoid the man that all the young kids know to avoid. Because he will take you and do things that you don't want done. So you have one eye out for what might be dangerous. Not with those words, you just know. And you keep your eye out for something you don't really have words for, but an adult might call it an opportunity. And you see the kind old lady sitting on the stoop. She's always been kind to you. And you run by, and you know she doesn't have any more than you have. She's just a place that lets you relax for a minute. And you run by and say good morning. She smiles and says, good morning. What a day to be alive. And she said, just a minute. I have an extra coin here, and I'd like you to have it. And even though you're so young, you know she's giving you something that she needs. And you try to say no. And you think about your mother, who will be so angry if you don't come home with something. And finally, you just take the coin. And you keep searching and avoiding. You see your brother and your sister out already. They're older. They're doing different things. Everybody's doing something to try to make money, to try to get some food, to try to do something to bring home. So there won't be so much yelling and fighting. And you run on. You go a little further than normal because the grocery stores and the shops in your area, they all know when you come in what you're going to do. And so they watch you and you can't get anything that you need. So you go a little further. You've noticed that the color of people's skin has changed somewhat, and you're a little more cautious. But you see a new small store, and you think, I'll just go in quickly, see if I can get something. Otherwise, we'll have no food. But you don't think in patterns like this. You just know here's a chance. So you run in quietly. You know many tricks of how to hide things. And then you see a lady. She has her purse, and it's open as she's walking around. And you look around you, you look at the purse, get as close as you can. And you see a wallet, and you reach in and you grab it and you run like crazy, fast as your legs will take you. And you're running out of the store, and you run straight into a big man in a uniform. And he grabs you, grabs your arm and twists it. Says, not so fast. And he calls you horrible names. And he takes the wallet away from you. And as you expect, he starts hitting you. And he throws you down on the pavement and says, now get out of here and don't come back, and calls you more names. Now you're hurt. You have only the coin that the kind lady gave you. And you make your way home. Now you're not as aware. A big guy in your neighborhood that everybody knows to stay away from. You don't notice him. And he grabs you. Says, so, you've been out looking for something? And now you're scared. Again. He says, what do you have? And you say, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I just got beat up. I don't have anything. And he grins a horrible grin and then starts searching you. Rips your shirt. Reaches into your pockets. And he finds the coin. He says, oh, what's this? I thought you had nothing. And you're scared. You almost don't know how to feel anything because it's how life is. It's just normal. You just want to get home. And the man takes the coin, says, don't you ever lie to me again, and punches you in the mouth, knocks out one of your teeth, and throws you aside and says, now get out of here. You can see, if we step back a little bit, how this is going to go. How this little child that you were for a little bit will go home and be yelled at because he didn't bring anything to help the family. There is no sanctuary. There is no safety. There is no comfort. And you will end up when you're a little older, grabbing the kind old lady, snatching anything she may have, and pushing her away with contempt. Because that's all you know. Who are you? I'd like everybody to take a moment and do that stretch again. Letting your filaments expand out into the universe and beyond. Then just relaxing. Again, a second time if you'd like. If you choose to. This is a practice, if you will, that you can do any time. You can take this practice back and remembering to start as a small child. Before your stories about what people will feel or think or act, before those have developed. You can put yourself as a small child in any circumstance, in any time. You may find yourself, if you do this, beginning to have dreams of being a small child in different circumstances. This isn't an exercise of separation, of trying to understand somebody else, of trying to make excuses for behaviors. It's nothing like that. It's allowing yourself to be someone other than who you think you are. For today, oh, by the way, you cannot do this from your intellect. Your intellect as a small child is nothing like what your intellect of today is. It's not the right tool. But most of us have some sense of being a child, the confusion, the lack of sense of structure of what's going on. That's where we reach, we become for this practice. Whatever your belief system about, if you have one, about why certain children are born into certain circumstances, you may have a nice story that tells you, oh, this is because they were bad in their past life. Or you may have all kinds of stories. Put them all down. That little kid doesn't have a story like that. Doesn't have an answer, doesn't need explanations. You're just living where you're living. And that's normal and natural to you. And for today, I'd like to take a moment to, as I've already done, invite all the Buddhas, bodhisattvas, saints, those without any name that are simply generous and kind, who somehow step beyond the limitations of thought patterns, emotional reactions, sensations that create our perceptions, these little boxes that we call I. All of those who have searched beyond to see the essence of life, to experience the connection of all beings. Invite them into our heart. Every bodhisattva, every Buddha that ever was, ever is, and ever will be, until our heart becomes so big, so full, that it is not limited to our heart chakra. Whether we perceive that as light, as touch, all of life touching, all those beings around us, holding, being held, or sound of a mantra, or sound of perhaps the hum of life that we all share, or all of that, until it's not even held in our body. It is so big and expanding and expanding. No boundary, no limitation, nothing to protect. So rich and full of warmth, light, sound, touch. Soon there's not even a sense of me or I. There is only this light, sound, touch. Touching and being present as all beings, as all space, as all light. There is nothing anywhere but this. And we may feel a certain break of our heart with the wish that all beings could experience this, no matter what the circumstances, that they might find that sanctuary, that refuge that is always present, knowing in our hearts how much the opportunity to experience this might seem sometimes like a matter of luck. What experiences, environment, shaped your personality and the box that you live in, that keeps you from being able to experience this? And may we make a wish together, an intention, if you will, that all beings have opportunities that touch them in such a way that they find refuge. They find the connectedness beyond circumstance. That they find the infinite expanse of time or beyond time. That each life arises and dissolves. All life arises and dissolves. That for a moment we might all experience no time. May we make an intention, perhaps, that we not forget that we have enough remembering to know every time we are hurt, millions of beings are experiencing the same sensations, thoughts, feelings, or very close to. That we are never alone in that. That it is like a wave that makes us try to duck and cover. A wave that maybe sometimes we can ride. Riding with the wish that all beings may be able to ride the waves. And not be crushed. You are the ocean. You are the waves. We all are. All of it coming and going. All the moments of joy, all the moments of, if not hate, at least deep dislike, all the moments of contempt, all the moments of ridicule, all the moments of laughter, all the moments that we experience, all coming, all drifting away. May we set an intention, perhaps, that we find the willingness to allow the box to dissolve. That box that feels so safe, even if we're miserable. And jump into life. Nothing to get rid of, nothing to hold on to. Waves. Thank you all for the opportunity for this to arise today. My gratitude for the places that this being can relax, the sanctuary of connectedness that happens with us. May it extend without limitation. Om Mani Padme Hum. Till next time.